Okay guys, so I'm here at Hyde Park, Speaker's Corner, and today we're going to be covering the ULEZ protest and also the I Will Not Comply rally. I think there's also a Brexit rally here as well. I've seen a few EU flags, so let's see if we can get some interviews and cover the event. Alright, I'll see you guys in a sec. Okay guys, so as you can see, the protest is absolutely huge. It's filling up the entire street. I guess there's probably about 2,000 people here maybe, marching through the streets. So I'm going to see if I can run to the front. I was a little bit late. I'm going to see if I can run to the front and catch kind of the whole protest in one run. Sorry mate. Yeah, so as you guys can see, the protest is absolutely huge. There's probably, I would say probably 2,000 people here. So this is probably the biggest protest that I've seen about ULEZ. So, and it's going straight through the centre of London. So let's see if we can get another shot of this.
We will not comply!
So there you guys have it. That was the entire rally. It's still not finished. They're gonna go a lot further, I think. But yeah, as I counted it, maybe 1,000 to 2,000 people roughly. So a pretty huge protest right through the centre of London. So the rally is about to go into Piccadilly Circus. Okay guys, so this is pretty interesting. We have the EU Brexit protest and it's merging with the ULEZ protest. So it's going to be pretty interesting to see what happens. Because I doubt these two groups agree on much. So that's going to be interesting to see how they mix. Okay guys, so we have the ULEZ protest that is now imminently about to meet the Brexit protest. I don't know if you can see behind me. And I don't think these two protests are gonna mix well, but we'll see what happens. We're on Downing Street now, or well, just walking up to Downing Street. So we'll try to get some interviews when the rally stops. I think they're stopping at Downing Street, but we'll see. Whenever they stop, I'll try to get some interviews. Okay, I'm going to try to run ahead and see how big the Brexit protest is compared to the ULEZ protest. So let's see. I think, from what I can see, they seem to be about similar sizes. Maybe the ULEZ protest just edging out, but I haven't seen the full Brexit protest yet, so I'll see.
You're giving all our money to Ukraine! We will not comply. We will not comply. We will not comply. We will not comply. Baby boomer. Second home is first. Yeah, what about our kids? What about our kids? You accept democratic votes?
What do you think about the Brexit protest?
Oh, I'm not bothered.
They all feel there, enjoying it, smiling. People die! Say like 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 people die!
genocide! They're guilty of 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 genocide! We do not consent! 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 Come on! We do not consent! 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 Well done, London. Keep it going, guys.
Okay guys, so that was the ULEZ march at Downing Street. They threw some balls at the, some tennis balls at the gates of Downing Street. And now they're gonna march on the Brexit protest as well. So again, I already heard some chants before. The two groups definitely don't like each other. And now they're gonna march back onto them, so it's gonna be pretty funny.
We do not consent! 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 We will not comply! 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 We will not comply!
What are your thoughts on the protests?
The pro-rejoin EU one, excellent. These anti-vaxxers, they're insane. They're insane.
Let's stick that flag with stars on it.
We have to keep cash to save them. So anywhere which insists on no cash, we've got to break their rules. And we did that recently in the Aldi store. I went there, bought some strawberries for £1.90, put the money on the table. They said it's only an app, and we said no. And the police turned up and said, yes, Mr. Corbyn, that is legal. The Metropolitan Police will take the matter no further. So you can go in any store and just do it. And when it comes to fighting ULEZ, let's be clear about it. You can do it. The Northampton County Court is not a real court. That means they've got no powers of entry in your home. And if you've got an old car like this, transfer the ownership to somebody else. They will try and take the car, but then they can't because the other person who owns it wasn't driving. So they're sending demands to the owner, but the owner says they weren't driving. Then they come for you, and you don't let the bailiffs in. They have no power of entry from the Northampton County Court. So you can win. And I repeat, drive at will, do not pay, take down the cameras. Drive at will, do not pay, take down the cameras. Drive at will, do not pay, take down the cameras. I've got something here very interesting to show you. You people saw those fires in Hawaii. Those were not real fires. They were not natural fires. They were caused by direct energy weapons. Okay, that is scary. We went outside the American embassy to ask them about this. They wouldn't even talk to us. They wouldn't even take a letter. Here we have a picture. Hold it up high. A picture of Hawaii. You see all these buildings destroyed, but then where they got blue roofs or grass, or even the trees, they're not destroyed. Well, that's crazy. How can that happen? It's a directed energy weapon that can destroy brickwork, grind it into dust, like what happened in 9/11. That was a directed energy weapon as well. They can now do this, but blue things or green things are not affected. It is not a fire caused by, sparks or anything. It's a direct energy weapon, and it was a massive land grab. A massive land grab associated with that, and with all the islands that burnt in the Mediterranean. They're also land grabs. So do not listen to them. But do not worry about other powers, the powers that be may have. This is very dangerous, but they cannot control climate. They cannot control big weather systems even. They can make it rain in small areas, yes, but nothing more. All big natural events are associated with big activity on the sun. Earth-facing coronal holes always come when there's big earthquakes or when there's big tropical storms. Anyway, I'm just saying that, so don't run away with fear from the powers that be. They want you to believe that they are super powerful. They're not. This stuff is dangerous, that's true, but they're not controlling climate. Anyway, I wonder if we ought to move on soon, because I detect the policeman behind us, trying to say something. Well, Sergeant Clark, yes? You want us to go? Yeah, we'll be going soon. Okay, well, just for the end, thank everybody very much from all the movement, ULEZ and the resistance to the World Economic Forum are the same thing. We have to unite around principles. The basic principles are, three of them. Men are men and women are women. And principle 2, roads are for driving, not for stupid roadblocks by Sadiq Khan, or ULEZ, or any zoning. And the third thing is, man-made climate change does not exist. It's Khan to control us all. And I better end up with, resist, defy, do not comply. Resist, defy, do not comply. Resist, defy, do not comply. Freedom! Thank you.
Please call me, everyone.
So today there was a ULEZ rally. What are your thoughts on the rally today?
Good rally, lots of people. You want to know why we're here? Because we don't believe ULEZ is really about clean air. We think it's a tax on the poor, the invalid, the poorest people in society, basically, who are not going to be able to afford to buy a compliant car. And many of them, especially those that are living in the outskirts of London, which are the ones that are now affected, buses are not regular like they are in central London. We know we can get around with buses, with tubes. That's not the case where they live, in the outskirts of London. They depend on their cars just to go shopping, to maybe have a day out on a Sunday, go out for the weekend. This is and people working as well are affected by this. Electricians, plumbers, they are all having to pay this extra charge if they can't afford to replace their car and make it compliant. So there are so many reasons why ULEZ is bad for the people, and this is not about clean air. And Sadiq Khan has actually lied when he said hundreds of deaths can be blamed on pollution. It's not true. There is apparently one time that the coroner said that someone died from pollution in London.
Can I ask one more question?
Okay.
What do you think about the ULEZ cameras and the implication on privacy?
Yeah, I mean, I don't like any cameras at all. I mean, there are cameras absolutely everywhere, and I hate all of them.
What would be your final message to the voters at the next mayoral election?
Oh, get Khan out, 100%. Vote for anyone else, but I mean, I can't say who to vote other than, of course, Piers Corbyn. But apart from that, just get Khan out. I don't even believe he was voted in the first place. I think it was a scam. So thank you very much.
So you have the Welsh flag on today. What are your thoughts on the 20 mile per hour default speed limit?
It's disgusting, mate. It's similar to the ULEZ in England. It's another control measure, mate. There's no kids getting run over. It's simply another control measure, mate. And people are unhappy with it. We've had 370,000 signatures in a matter of 8 days. I believe our leaders and commanders need a one-place change because they are benter than a butcher's hook.
What do you think about Sadiq Khan's chances in the next election?
I gotta be honest, mate, any politician or any member that have been sat for over a 5-year period throughout this lockdowns and the fucking all the rest of the corruptions, the masking and all the rest of it, I think they need the same detail, immediately one place change, mate, because they're either really incompetent or they're fucking criminal. There's no in between.
What do you think about 15-minute cities and LTNs?
Again, mate, exactly the same detail. It's just another means to control the public.
And what will be your message to the voters at the next election?
Well, I'm hoping that we can change the system in some way, shape or form, because if you've seen 2,000 Mules, I don't know whether you've seen, but it shows us, yes, it shows us how we can't trust the system. You know, we need an unfathomable change, but we don't do it by sitting at home doing bog all. You know, we need to make your neighbours aware, start caring for your neighbours, start passing this message, because the truth of the matter is a lot of us have been injected with cardiotoxic substance. However, there are ways and means that we can stop the spike protein replicating from inside our bodies. Cumin, turmeric, vitamin C, RSO, CDS, ASEA, just to name a few. Do your research, troops. Get on the internet, find people like Dr. Peter McCullough, Dr. Robert Malone, Dr. Asim Malhotra. These guys are actively trying to help us in winning this war, because that's what this is. It's a war.
Right, thank you, man.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Okay.
So what do you think about Sadiq Khan's chances in the next election?
What do I think of his chances? I think he stands a good chance, being honest with you, because the way the world is right now, there's basically people who are actually running and in charge are very dumb. Yeah, I think they're thinking of things which the common, normal people are not really concerned about. They just want to go about their daily business and making a decent income. A lot of people who are having to replace their vehicles, they haven't got the means in order to do so. I'm fortunate I drive a petrol vehicle. Those who have had diesels, they're in a scenario of not of their own making, and at the same time there's an increase in aeroplane. Yeah, so I think it does not make sense whatsoever, and for that reason I think he'll still win. Yeah, because if you look as to what the Conservative may well put up, it's just twice as bad.
What's your opinion on the Blade Runners?
On?
The Blade Runners.
Who are the Blade Runners?
The people vandalising the cameras.
Well, I'm not one of them. But I surely do support what it is that they're doing. for good reason. I travelled, I came back, and I found that I drove halfway down the road and then there were barriers and there wasn't any sign at the end to say otherwise, but I did turn around and went back just to make sure that there wasn't a sign and there wasn't a sign. Yeah, so there's a lot of stupidity around insofar as politics. There seem to be, like you would say, common sense is clearly gone out the window. Yes, I say enough is enough on that.
Okay, so we recently have news that Rishi Sunak has delayed the 2030 ban to 2035. What are your thoughts on this?
Well, that's very good and very pragmatic. The target for 2030 was never going to be met anyhow. Just to put things in perspective, there's somewhere between 30 and 40 million cars or vehicles on the road in this country, and in a good year we produce something like 1 million cars. So that would take 40 years to replace them all, just to put it in perspective. So it's never going to happen anyhow. And actually, being pragmatic gives people more time. It gives the infrastructure more time to be put in place, because there's not the infrastructure for electric car charging points. If everybody had them in mind a little close, no one else would be able to run their oven or anything else. You know, that's the reality of it. That the actual cables are not fit to take the infrastructure.
What do you think about Labour in Wales giving a default 20-mile-an-hour speed limit?
Well, obviously I oppose that, because again, it makes no sense at all. And if you look at it, I think today over 300,000 people have signed a petition saying take it out. Now, to put it in perspective, in the last local elections, something like 1.1 million people voted. So 300,000 is getting up to a third of the people that voted already, saying actually we've had enough of this. This is not good enough. And these aren't people that you would say as radicals or usual protesters. These are ordinary people saying, hang on a sec, I cannot go about my daily life. You're actually impacting on my freedom. You're impacting on my ability to do my job, to get my kids to school, to get to work. All of those things, which is so important. And so therefore, people are saying enough is enough. And nobody was ever consulted. There was no election manifesto issue in terms of a 20-mile-an-hour zone. So we'll see what happens when the next Welsh election comes along, and see whether someone will actually get rid of that as well.
So it seems as though Sadiq Khan is now 50% unfavourable, or 52% unfavourable in a new poll. However, the Tory competitor, Susan Hall, is still unknown to most voters. So what do you think her strategy will be now to become more known to the voters?
Well, Susan's got to get herself out there, make herself better known. But let me just say this, Susan is doing so many things at the moment. The demand on her time is really, really heavy. Today she said, I can't come to this rally today because I've got an interview with GB News. So she's doing lots and lots of media stuff all the time. So therefore, she's got to carry on with that, and she's got to get out. But she's got to come to events like this. She's got to speak to people like you, so that people who are not mainstream media can get the message out. And you've got to remember that some of her messages are really, really good. She's the only one that can win in London other than Sadiq Khan. And so therefore it's really important that people get behind her and make sure she wins come the election next year.
What do you think the privacy implications are of ULEZ cameras, considering that they can actually track the routes of different cars?
Well, again, there are issues around that, and that's one of the things whereby pay per mile is also on the agenda. Mr. Khan might deny it, but he spent £8 million, I believe, already funding it, looking at it, getting people in place to do it. In fact, TfL are already hiring people to do pay per mile. So him denying it is one thing, but the reality is that it's actually coming in. So again, people have to beware. You may think, oh well, ULEZ doesn't affect me, but actually pay per mile does, and it'll be coming to a car near you soon.
Do you think that local democracy is really democratic, considering that in general elections there's about 70% turnout, whereas in local elections there's only about 30% turnout?
I think it varies from election to election. the point is, if people don't turn out, they leave it to others, then that's their responsibility. The way I look at it, even if you don't vote, you've decided not to vote, so you've made a decision. I would always encourage people to vote and actually make the change, and I'm quite confident that Susan Hall will win, because today I was out in a place called Mottingham. You probably never heard of it. It's between sort of Greenwich and Chislehurst, and it's a place where the Conservatives hold it at the moment and on the council, and it's very, very marginal. And I was talking to people this morning, and overwhelmingly they were anti-ULEZ, overwhelmingly they were supporting Susan Hall. And if places like that are coming good for Susan Hall, then I believe that she will walk into City Hall next year. City Hall, Susan Hall for City Hall, there you are, they've just come up with a phrase.
So do you think that Rishi's U-turn on the climate policy, do you think that was sparked by Uxbridge and them seeing that there's actually voters and people want to have their voice heard on net zero?
Well, I think he's been listening. I think he's been pragmatic. I think he's realised you can't do something that's not achievable. So let's rehash the deadlines. Let's make sure that we can get people, bring people with us, which is really important. You know, this is why ULEZ is so unpopular. It's not bringing people with you. That's why there have been over 1,000 cameras, as I understand it, taken down by protesters. I mean, that's ordinary people doing that. That would never have happened if this had consent. If this had the consent of the people, they'd be saying, okay, fair enough, I may not like it, but let's go with it. But it hasn't, and we'll find out. The real test will happen in May next year. And as I said, Susan Hall's the only one that can actually beat Sadiq Khan, and she will do that, I'm quite confident, because I think Outer London will turn out and say enough is enough.
Do you think that the Mayor of London should have jurisdiction over Outer London, or should it be restricted to just inner London?
Well, I'd love for the Mayor of London to be just in London. That'd be quite fun. In fact, I would abolish the Mayor of London personally, because I don't think the role adds much. It's just an extra bureaucracy. They add extra layers of planning, extra layers of bureaucracy. There's an extra layer of council tax on top. All of that, which could actually easily be handled as it was before, without a government at mayoral level. And it's quite easy to do, to be honest. We had it between 1986 and 1999, so quite a long time without it, and it worked perfectly well.
And what's your final message to the voters?
Well, my final message is, do look out for Susan Hall. Make sure you find out what she's up against. She's about. She will scrap ULEZ on day one, and she will actually. She says she'll keep the cameras. And people say, well, why is that? Well, let me give you an example. Just this week, for the first time ever, we had a murder of a young 19-year-old in Petts Wood, in my ward. It's never happened before, and very, very tragic that is for the family, and your heart goes out to them all with what's happened. So those cameras being repurposed to catch drug barons and the like, I think is an absolutely sensational idea. Use it to catch the real villains in this world and not catch innocent motorists.
Okay, so I'm here with BrownCarGuy. So what are your thoughts on Rishi Sunak doing a U-turn and delaying the ICE car sale ban?
I mean, to be honest, I was very pleased, if nothing else, but because I actually predicted it. So I was like, yay, it's happened because I predicted it. To be honest, I think that, you know, you could argue that he's doing it for voting reasons or vote-winning reasons, but he says he's doing it for pragmatic reasons, and I think that actually makes a lot of sense, you know, because ultimately, the reason I always said it was never going to happen was because I don't think it can happen. I don't think physically it can happen. I don't think we've got the infrastructure in place. I don't think we've got enough cars, but most importantly, I don't think people are ready. And I don't think they'll be ready in that amount of time. 2030 is really not that far away. In terms of the motor industry, it's a very short space of time. Yes, the motor industry is upset about it, and they will continue to be upset about it, because also, despite the fact that, as you've touched on, they've changed that 2030 deadline to 2035, but confusing set of signals. Because the other thing that has happened, and this has just happened now, the ZEV mandate, zero emission vehicle mandate, which was in the process of approval, which I thought, because the deadline had been moved to 2035, I thought that was going to be abandoned, but they've now confirmed that it's going ahead. Now, just to explain what that means, is that from the 1st of January 2024, there's going to be a minimum requirement in terms of EV sales on every single manufacturer, and if the manufacturer doesn't meet that, they get fined £15,000 per vehicle. So there's mixed signals.
And what's your opinion on Wales introducing the default 20 mile per hour speed limit?
Yeah, I've just put up a video on that as well. I think that Wales is basically shooting itself in the foot there, because I think that a lot of what makes Wales great is the beauty of the location and some of the best driving roads in the world. I mean, those people that read car magazines will know that there's a place in Wales called the Evo Triangle. You know, very famous because Evo magazine was famous for taking the cars there and testing them on that route. But when you have a situation where you've just blanket bombed the whole place with a 20 miles per hour limit in the residential areas, and people might say, oh, but it's still 60 on the other roads. Yeah, but when you're doing one of these driving roads and you're doing a B road route or something like that, then the fact is that you keep coming across villages. Now, if you're anything like me, I will always slow down to the speed limit of the village when I hit the village. But to slow from 60 to 20, then to speed up again, then to slow down again, I mean, A, it'll drive you nuts. B, it'll actually add to pollution. C, it'll actually make your efficiency worse because of all the accelerating and braking that you're doing. So it's just an all-round bad idea. And when you also look at how sparse Wales is, so recently when I did the video, I worked out it's 290 people per square mile in Wales. Here in London, it's 14,500 people per square mile, right? Even if you could argue the case for 20 miles per hour limits here, which in some places you can, but in Wales you can't. I mean, who are you trying to save? The sheep?
A new poll has just come out, and they basically said that Sadiq is now viewed unfavourably by 52% of Londoners, but Susan Hall is still relatively unknown. Yeah. So how, with that new polling, and I think mostly because of ULEZ, and people are starting to get fines, that he's become more unpopular, how do you think his chances now stand in the next election?
I don't rate his chances, because don't forget, it's not just even ULEZ. Because obviously, like you said, I always said that once ULEZ actually hit, and then the fines started dropping through people's letterboxes, I think people would suddenly go, oh, what's this, you know. But in addition to that, his unpopularity also stems from crime, from housing, and from countless other issues that London is facing. So if you look at it purely in those terms, I don't think he should win. I don't think he can win, you know. But having said that, politics is weird, you know. However, I do feel that going by what happened in Uxbridge and the by-election there, I think that people are starting to stand up and go, you know what, we're not having this, you know. This is just causing us. I mean, I had somebody commenting, for example, on the Wales, going back to the Wales thing, somebody commented on my YouTube page that it's added an hour and a half to their daily commute time. How much of that are people going to take? You know, ultimately they're going to go, no, we can't do this anymore, you know, and they're going to speak with their votes. That's what's going to happen. So I think he's going to suffer. I think Susan Hall needs to get out there a lot more and actually really raise her profile. There are candidates that are doing a great job when it comes to that. So for example, I think Howard Cox is actually doing a brilliant job in terms of the amount of content that he's producing, the magazine articles that he's doing, the media appearances that he's doing. And I think that Susan also needs to do that to get out there. But but you never know. Politics is a weird game, so you can never predict these things. But I do think that if you were to go to a poll today, if you were to go to the voting today, I think he would lose.
Do you think that it's now basically a referendum on climate change versus personal freedom?
I think the elections might be that. I don't think so much the mayoral election, because don't forget, ULEZ is not so much about climate change. ULEZ is about air quality, you know, and ULEZ is ultimately about stopping people using their cars in London. That's what it's about. But when you look at the overall net zero situation, you look at the overall environmental factors, and we know that we've seen a slight shift now in public opinion and now also in the political opinion with what Rishi Sunak has done, then I think that the next general election might become a referendum on net zero and all the things that we're doing. Actually, all the infringements, I should say, and all the difficulties that we're placing upon people in trying to get to that net zero. I think people may react to that. It'll be interesting to see.
What's your thoughts on the Blade Runners?
What's my thoughts on the Blade Runners? Doing us all a favour, a huge favour. This whole thing is such a scam. We've had so many awful stories, young people, old people that can't even leave their houses anymore. He is in trouble with TfL with his funds, so he's just charging us all. £12.50 for non-compliant cars. Cleans the air, Mr. Khan? Seriously? You might just as well have told us to keep all our cars off the road. Then, you know, but we would still be fighting. My car goes through an MOT, it gets taxed and insured, and I've got to pay you £12.50. You having a laugh? When you haven't even got a decent bus service where I live, and I live in Merton. I cannot understand why he would think, or you would think, you want to do this. Money grabbing, I won't say a word that I want to use, sorry. But it upsets me entirely. It makes me very, very angry. But the Blade Runners have been absolutely brilliant. They really have. I have no idea who they are. I have no idea who they are. But I support them. I really do. I've never in my life ever broken the law, ever. But if I have to now, I will. Because I am so angry. He's a narcissistic and a misogynist as well. He's not even supplied the women, the police force, nursing, doctoring, whatever. When women have to come home in the middle of the night, no support for them whatsoever. Absolutely none. It's disgusting.
What do you think about Rishi Sunak delaying the ICE car sale ban?
Yeah, it was okay. He did it, but that's just a vote thing, isn't it? You know, I mean, we need to see more from him. We need to hear him say, Mr. Khan, stop, and stop it now. That's all we want. That's all we want.
What's your thoughts on Labour introducing in Wales a 20-mile-an-hour default speed limit?
That's laughable. That is totally laughable. I mean, Mr. Drakeford apparently is resigning next year. So he's done this just to put people's mind, you know, aren't I clever? This is going to be going down in history. And they've got 400,000 signatures on a petition already. I've just been talking to a family from Wales, funnily enough, and they're absolutely appalled. They said, they haven't got as many cars in Wales as we have in London. And yet he's put a 20-mile-an-hour limit on it. Why? He's an idiot.
What's your final message to the voters?
Final message to the voters? Keep protesting. Join us all, the Anti-ULEZ lot. There's lots of sites. Please don't vote for the 4 major parties. They're all part of the WEF, and they're the ones that are dictating to us, and Khan is their chairman. So we need to support Howard Cox as mayor for next year, and also reform. I'm seriously thinking about reform. So get voting, people. Look up reform and vote reform.
We know what they're doing. They're going to win. No! You can know lots of truth. You won't win just by knowing the truth. You know what happened to Hannibal in Carthage? They knew the Romans were evil. They knew the Romans were coming. The Romans killed them all. Every single one of them. We have to actually fight back. We have to actually break the impositions of this tyranny. It's no good just begging politicians to do it. No politician is going to save you. None of them. All they're doing is blaming each other. That's all they'll ever do, and keep you in the circus. So let's be clear. United in action on basic principles. And I've got 3 basic principles I think we ought to talk about. We've got 12 on the United Front. And we've got a conference on this on the 7th of October. So do come. But number 1 is men are men and women are women. That. If I was in a Labour Party meeting, they would throw me out as being a Nazi. I'm serious. It is deranged what's happening in the world now. The second one is roads are for travelling. And we're against all the taxation of roads, against ULEZ and all the zoning costs. And the third big principle is man-made climate change does not exist. Now, I know some of you probably think it's news, but you see, the point is, it's used as the argument to control us all. Sadiq, drive that bill, do not pay, take down the cameras. Drive that bill, do not pay, take down the cameras. And what's on my t-shirt, and my selling t-shirts as well? Resist, defy, do not comply. Thank you, thank you, thank you.
Okay, so yesterday we just learned that Rishi has extended the deadline for the ICE car sale ban from 2030 to 2035. What are your thoughts on this?
I think he didn't really have much of a choice. He had to do it. You know, net zero is an absolute fallacy. It is insanity. It cannot be achieved. You know, the fact you're breathing out is a carbon emission. You know, so yeah, I think he was kind of forced into. Well, yeah, he had no option really. You know, I think they're slowly starting to see that it is absolute insanity. That it's not. You know, you cannot achieve net zero. Net zero means getting rid of all life. You can't do that. It's impossible. It means getting rid of the likes of you, me, everyone else, and the cars and the animals and the rest of it. It's just not going to happen, is it? You know, it's insanity.
What do you think about Labour in Wales introducing a default 20-mile-an-hour speed limit?
Again, insanity. 20 mile an hour doesn't work. Okay, maybe in front of schools, fine. But when you're dealing with dual carriageways, when you're dealing with roads, it doesn't work. And you've got to remember, if a car's going 20 mile an hour, it's going slower. And if it goes slower, it's burning more fuel going slower. So therefore, not only is it going slower, but it's creating more pollution. So it's not fixing the issue, is it? It's just making it a whole lot worse.
So car now has a 52% unfavourable rating in a recent poll. Do you think that when people start getting the fines, they actually realise that car was bad for them? Yeah,
I do think so. I think, yeah. When people see the fines come through the door, they're starting to question. They're going, hang on a minute, what's this about? And then when people look into it, they realise, hang on a minute, it actually doesn't have anything to do with clean air at all. It's just about filling the hole in TfL's coffers, really. Is what it? You know, TfL is a bankrupt business. They're running at a huge loss and they're looking at ways to recoup money. It's only the other day they come out and said they're going to start charging people for using the Blackwall Tunnel though, you know? Where's it going to end, do you know what I mean?
What do you think about Sadiq Khan going to New York for the UN climate conference?
Well, there's hypocrisy right there, you know, it's do as I say, not what, you know, do as I say, not what I do, if you know what I mean. You know, he's telling everyone how to live their lives, how you know, you have to get a compliant car, how you have to cut down on consumption of this, that and the other, and yet there he is having a jet set lifestyle. Well, hang on a minute, shouldn't he be practicing what he's preaching? You know, exactly that.
So you were in the Tower Hamlets Town Hall. What were your experiences there?
Oh, it was amazing because, first of all, Option 1 was declared, which meant that they're going to open up all the LTNs. There was one or two small roads, which they're not. So Bethnal Green Road, Barnet Grove, I forget all the names of the roads now, but they're being opened up, which was the manifesto that Mayor Lutfer Raymond got voted in for the Aspire Party. And consequently, the Labour Party got booted out. You had all the cyclist mobs out there, all singing in their soppy songs. But in these consultations, which all the leftists keep on telling us, it's a recommendation, not a referendum. So what he done, he actually fulfilled his manifesto promises and did what he said he was going to do. How refreshing for an MP to actually do that. Sorry, he's not an MP, he's the mayor. MPs are up the other mob, up the other place. But he actually said what he was going to do. Consequently, there was a lot of small businessmen there where their businesses have been driven into the ground because of all these road closures and stuff. It was a blow for democracy. Democracy won the day. And also, he put the Labour Party, the Labour councillors that had been re-elected, firmly in their place. He went through all the things which they'd rushed through under the COVID, you know, when the pandemic was there, where all the procedures were relaxed and the Labour mob slashed it all through. And he went through a series of things where you rushed this one through with ignoring his consultation, which, fair enough, they said it's a recommendation, not a referendum, and he lambasted the Labour Party good and proper. I recommend anyone who can get onto Tower Hamlets' website, because they recorded the proceedings, and watch him go to town. Lutfer Raymond was a good man for the Aspire Party, and he's done well for Tower Hamlets. And I hope more councils follow suit. Hackney's on the neighbourhood, next door to Tower Hamlets, and the Mayor, Philip Glanville, recently resigned over the scandal of him having a paedophile in his house who was downloading stuff, and he didn't know anything about it. He constantly lied. So the mayorship for Hackney's up for election. Their neighbours. This could be an interesting couple of weeks.
So you have an air quality meter.
I do. I have it with me right in my pocket.
Yeah. So what is your experiences with measuring air in London?
My experiences can vary, because generally particulate matter consists of anything. And measurements I've done recently, like for example, if it hasn't rained for a few days and pollen builds up. So I had a read about 30 within Orpington, and when it rains again, it drops down to about 2s, maybe 3s, something like that. So there's particulate matter, emissions based on that. It's a bit of a nonsense in a sense, but down the tube, it goes, you know, well into 200s. And it states something quite different, for example. Like, for example, brake dust flying in the air, metal filings, and all sorts of things. So, doing particulate measurements recently illustrates what a nonsense ULEZ really is, based on PMs. And especially in the World Health Organization, said half the so-called safe limit, down to 5, is like virtually nothing at all. Well, to be honest, tree pollen in the countryside and grass pollen in the countryside be higher than that, and nothing around. So it makes a complete mockery of the whole thing.
Can they get a reading now?
Yeah, it'll take about a minute for it to boot up.
That's fine.
I got between 3s and 5s earlier, so let's get out of my pocket. I'll try and drop everything. There we go. Right, so boot this up now. There we go. I'll try and get the camera to pick it up. It's booting up as we speak. Let's see what the measurements are. It's sitting currently 3.1, 2.8.
See if we can get away from the sun here.
Yeah, there we go.
Come this way, come this way. Yeah, stand there.
Yeah. There you go. Oh, it's coming up well, the camera nails it. Around about late 2s, early 3s. That's roughly what we've got PM 2.5s. So when the dust blows around, it can actually go upwards. So to go higher, it's just kicked up in the air. So it'll bounce around between 2 and 5s it was earlier on in the air quality measurement earlier. So you get a bit of dust, get a bit of pollen, that flows up in the air, this reading will go up.
Yeah.
We've got a few trees around here, but as it's been raining recently, the rainwater would have pretty much trapped the pollen in, as it makes sense, trapped pollen within the trees, within the leaves. So we had no rain for a few days, that reading would go right up towards about 10ish, or probably even higher, depending on what's around.
And so we're in like the centre of London, and it's good air quality. I mean, you can't get more central than this.
No, you can't get better than this. And to be honest, the particulate matter, as I said, consists of anything, whether it's tree pollen, whether it's dust kicked off the road, anything can set that off. It's just measuring, well, basically things in the air. Is what particulates are.
What do you think about Rishi Sunak delaying the ICE car ban from 2030 to 2035?
To be honest, delaying the ICE ban, I think it'd rather be scrapped, because electric cars are not safe, they're expensive, they're extremely expensive to produce, they're not economical at all. Even charging public charge points are more expensive to run than, for example, petrol cars. And that's quite comparable. And not only that, fairly recently there was a cargo ship fire by a car manufacturer. Oh, there's only 500 EVs on board. Oh, well, it's 500. Oh, we actually tell the truth now, it's 5,000. And this is where a few crew members lost their lives, not far from Holland, not from the Netherlands, sorry. And they can put it out. And with an electric car fire, it's lithium, and you get oxygen mixture with that. I went to a science lab, chuck a bit of lithium and a bit of water, it goes off like fireworks. So when the lithium fire starts, you get basically thermal runaway, filled with more oxygen and more thermal runaway, and you can't put the thing out. You're lucky you chuck it in a container full of water. That's basically put them out.
What do you think about Labour in Wales introducing a default 20-mile-per-hour speed limit?
I think it's just absolutely nuts, because it'll frustrate the motorists and make journeys longer, and in fact it'll increase pollution as well. People have to use a lower gear to get anywhere, so they'll be stuck in second gear, whichever, however higher gear the car is, or even first in some cars. It's just lunacy. So it's taking a long time to get anywhere at all. People get frustrated, and I think it's just be electoral suicide, to be honest.
What do you think about the Blade Runners?
Well, the public do what they want, you know. If the public are pushed, they'll do it. And Blade Runners, well, they'll do.
Okay, guys, so that was the ULEZ protest. It was a little bit dispersed and a little bit confused, because obviously there was like 2 marches going on at the same time, and then there was also the merge with the Brexit march. So it was a little bit, not really a clear march. But hopefully you guys enjoyed the video. I got some pretty interesting interviews, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Peace.